Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant and welcome back for more of Let's Play Pokémon SoulSilver. Last time we first made our way up through the route that I was complaining about. I wasn't complaining about anything. I don't have any idea what I'm doing because I forgot how to use the dowsing machine because I'm too used to playing Black and White 2. Oh boy, do I have a lot of things planned to rant about in the next couple of videos, but that might be one of them, we'll see. It's not something I necessarily plan to rant about. But as you've no doubt guessed by this point, I haven't been able to record as much as usual, and considering that I haven't been putting up too many videos related to SoulSilver on a regular basis anyway, that should come as no surprise to anybody. One of the things I mentioned earlier in the LP is my difficulty of being able to pick up a Pokemon game after not having played it for some amount of time. I think the biggest thing about that is if you're around your team consistently enough, you get a feel for that team, I want to say you build up a little bit of an affection for them, like you know their ins and outs, you know what their strengths and weaknesses are, you know who to send in when, for what kind of situation. And if you stay away from the game for a little bit too long, you start to lose that, I want to call it like a sixth sense for what to do when. And it takes away from the fun of the game a little bit when you don't necessarily have that. But you also grow a bit of a bond with the Pokemon that you're using too. Like you remember training them from when they were very weak or when they were very low level. And if it's been a long time since you've played the game, you forget about those memories, at least a little bit, to the point where it does become a bit of an issue that you don't have the same, you don't feel the same way about them. And I don't want to say that that's happening with this game. I think I'm playing it consistently enough that it isn't that much of an issue. Although, admittedly, if I am taking a couple of weeks between recording sessions, it does become a bit of a problem. And your Espeon knows Psybeam too. Convenient that it's already a level that it would first learn Psybeam at, otherwise this thing would probably be very little threat to us. But I've already lost a couple of Pokemon runs because of that, where I just don't feel the same affection towards my team as I did when I first started the game. I know that happened to me the first time I tried playing through SoulSilver, where I got to the Pokémon League and I just didn't feel like training for them, and that was it. I kind of just dumped the run. Guess I should I heal up Duster? I don't really feel that necessary. I'll just switch him out for somebody else. Sorry, Duster! But I lost a SoulSilver run for that. I lost a Diamond run for that. I don't think we want to jump down there quite yet because we can't explore that house over there. And that's a very interesting house that's completely optional and has absolutely no purpose. Well, it has a little bit of a purpose, but not to us necessarily. And of course, there are wild Pokemon around here. A couple of them we haven't been able to run into yet, so I do want to show them off, but this is really one of the two places in the game where I like to grind towards the end, and I'll show you why when we get to the other house up a little bit further along in the route. But this house is actually home to some of the characters we've been running to throughout our adventure. 7 different beds. You guessed it. The House of the Weak Siblings. You know, the ones that we've been talking to the entire time, all on different locations, listed conveniently in this book in case we missed them. The ones that have been giving us items that power up specific types of moves. Yup, this is apparently where they live. And we're just raiding their house. Although there isn't really anything for us to raid in there. Oh well. I guess I'll just make my way back up to where it's not too long of a run, but it is still a bit of a run. There isn't anything for us over here, is there? No. Yes. Maybe. Maybe I missed something up there. I get the feeling I missed something up there. Oh well. I'll meet you back up there. Unless I find something interesting over here, which I did. I'm glad I kept talking. Hi, Big Mushroom! Yeah, it's only going to take us like 2 seconds to get there anyway. There is an item down there, which we'll surf to when I have... I mean, we could get it right now, but I'm going to be back here with... when I have somebody who knows Whirlpool, so I guess we'll explore down there when we come back. But the reason it's such a good grinding spot is because of this one house over here. And you get a free heal! It's so convenient to just camp out here and train, when you can just come in here and heal your Pokemon up for free. Which I suppose you can do at any of the Pokemon Centers, but there isn't a Pokemon Center for a very long ways. But I do want to talk a little bit about Black and White 2, because I've been putting up those videos for a decent amount of time, and I might as well... I don't know if I want to necessarily give my opinions on it here or give them in a separate video. I'm hoping if I time this properly enough that I'll be able to put up the Unova Elite Four before I get to... Why did I use Krakow here? This is kind of silly. I'm hoping if I have the time to get through White 2 to the point where I can post all of the 8 gym leaders by the time this video goes up, that I have time to do the Unova Elite Four before I get to it in this game, and I didn't mean to hit Supersonic. So that's kind of the plan. If I have the time to do that before I get to it in this LP, I'd like to put those up first, and then kind of use that as the warm-up act for the... I forgot Pikachu learned Thunderbolt via level up. Not many Pokemon do. I don't want to switch into, though. I guess I'll switch into HCB for the ground move. Yeah, but my plan is, if I have time to get through White 2, I'd like to put up the Elite Four for that before this. Similar to what I was doing, I think when I was first playing through Black and White, that I put those Elite Four up before or after the Platinum Elite Four, I don't remember. You're doing yourself a lot of damage, too, Pikachu. I mean, you only hit yourself 3 times. So that's the plan. I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do... Blastoise! Holy crap! No, I'm not doing Blastoise. I haven't decided if I'm going to do another project between the... well, the Johto region here and the second half of the game. I'm leaning towards yes, but I am no closer to a decision than I was the last time I talked about it, so we'll see. That is not good for me. See, this is the problem with only having one Pokemon that has a strength against water. I can go into Crunch for the resist, but Blastoise is so physically bulky that I don't think my other moves will do a decent enough amount of damage. Guess we can give it a shot. Could get a couple of defense drops from the Crunch, too. But the perfect kind of game for the interim between the two regions would probably be something like Donkey Kong Land 3. As I've mentioned before, the biggest thing that hinges on is whether or not I actually feel like playing it, and to be honest, I think it's the worst of the 3. Even though I've already played the first 2, every time I try to play Donkey Kong Land 3, I just don't feel the same way about it. I just don't have the same love for it. But, again, it's something I don't have to decide for a little while. I figure either way, Donkey Kong Land 3 is going to get done at some point. It just seems like the perfect length for an LP to do in the middle of SoulSilver. Just because it's not too long, it's not too short. It feels like the right length. And I don't think I can necessarily come up with another game that's like it. Because every other game I think that I'd want to LP at some point is much too long for an LP that I'd only be using to fill in the gap until I feel like playing SoulSilver again. I mean, you're welcome to leave suggestions, although I'm not very likely to listen to them because it all hinges on whether or not I actually feel like playing it. But I don't know, I've been thinking about a number of different LPs I could do now that I have access to the Hapage. I keep calling it the Hapage instead of the Hapag, and I wasn't even paying attention to what I was doing. I should really pay more attention to what button I'm clicking than what I'm saying, even though it's still working. But now that I have the Hapag, there's no reason for me not to do LPs on the console, except on the N64, which I hear is, if not more difficult, pointless to do on the HD PVR, because you can't get increased resolution from the N64 just by plugging it into the Hapag. Although there are a lot of N64 games I can think that I want to do, including some that people have been bothering me about for a very long time that I'd like to get to eventually. But it all hinges on what I feel like doing when, and I'm not necessarily in the mood for it now. But there's very little reason for me to be doing games on the emulator now that I can record from console in quality that's just as good, if not better. And a Flareon, which is absolutely no threat because this thing is based on physical attack, and most of the fire moves that it learns are not very powerful on the physical side. Kind of pointless. I know there are a lot of people that are waiting for Flareon to get a move like Flare Blitz, so it would be a little bit more useful in competitive battling and whatnot. I do kind of feel the same way, although I'm not necessarily into that sort of thing. It's always the forgotten evolution, just because it's not very useful. And another trainer on this route for us to get the phone number from. Conveniently enough, there is a fly point at the very top of this route, so he's not too far away from that. And if I remember correctly, there's a hidden item up behind this trainer that I wish I stopped for. But I'll go back and get it as soon as I forget to get it after the battle ends, because that's kind of who I am. Parasect! Whose cry is very similar, if not the exact same as that of Mewtwo. And again, it's another one of those duplicate cries that I never necessarily heard until I was looking for it. Very weird. But conveniently, he's 4 times weak to fire. So good luck with that. Oh boy, just mentioning the word Mewtwo makes me think about all of the other legendaries I have to go track down and catch in this game. And don't go telling me, no, you don't have to, it's okay, it's optional, you don't have to do it. Yes, I do. Because everyone would be complaining about it if I didn't. Don't lie to me, you know you would be. And I wouldn't blame you either. Because some of the legendary battle themes in this game are the best music tracks. Including one particular one that's probably my favorite track from this entire game, and possibly for this series? I haven't given that too much thought. I try not to think about my favorite track from a franchise or a game series, because some of the games span such a long amount of time that they each have their own charm to them. Like, compare 8-bit music to orchestrated. It's not the same thing. Some of them have advantages over others. Some of them are just catchy, even if they're in 8-bit or 16-bit, like who doesn't know the main theme from 1-1 and Mario Brothers? And try comparing that to some of the tracks that they orchestrated for Galaxy 2. They're just completely different styles. It's difficult to compare them. It's like apples to oranges. I really want to stay in for this Vaporeon because I know I've gotten at least a couple of special attack boosts, and I'm glad I outspeed it. I really think that Krako is a lot slower than he is, but I don't know, maybe Vaporeon's pretty slow too. I haven't checked its base speed. I get the feeling Krako is a little faster than I give him credit for, though. But he's just a floating magnet! I mean, how fast can a magnet be? It doesn't have legs or anything, it is kind of floating there, but yeah, I always remember that tiny mushroom being there. And I suppose I'll go back to heal up. I'm realizing that there's a lot more to this game than I actually remember. There are a lot of things to show off. Legendaries, events, even some of the stuff that you unlock from the, obtaining the national decks that a lot of people don't know or care about. But there's so much to this game to show off, and I'd very much like to show off as much of it as possible. In Rapidash, I'd prefer not to hit with a physical move because I'm pretty sure this thing gets Flame Body, but it's trying to burn me anyway with Will-O-Wisp. And I remember somebody in the stream, the Fire Red stream I had, whenever the hell that was, at least a year ago, was trying to convince me that water types could not be burned. Whoever told me that was an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to call you an idiot. I'm just implying that you have no idea what you're talking about and you shouldn't be giving advice on things that you don't necessarily know. And I guess I have to say this too. Oh, you're learning close combat. Holy shit, HCB. Thank you for saving me from having to call everybody on the internet's an idiot because they have access to the internet and they could do fact checks themselves before posting a comment or something about something that they don't know anything about. But seriously, if you're going to try to look smart on the internet, do a fact check! You have access to the internet! You can check whether or not it's correct! You're only going to sound like an idiot if somebody could spend 5 seconds looking up what you didn't and realize you were wrong. Now, if you're watching me on a stream or something, I can understand, because you don't necessarily want to navigate away from the page, or you feel like you want to give me a piece of information while it's still relevant. But if it's something like a YouTube comment and you have all the time in the world to make it, you have no excuse not to be correct. I'm sorry. And the rage ensues. But this is the point where you can actually fly to. If you have somebody who knows fly, they will drop you either here or something. I'm sure I'll fly to this point at some point. And down here is an item for us to pick up. A max elixir. I think that does it for all the items on this route that we can get without having somebody that knows Whirlpool. And that should about do it for this route. Next time, we'll head into Victory Road and towards the Pokémon League at Indigo Plateau. This is UniversalGiant, and Crunch is focused with a sharp gaze. What's wrong with my face? Why are you looking at my face? What's wrong with my face? We'll see you next time.